So I think it's pretty obvious a lot of us expected that New South Wales under Madge Maguire were looking at a cheeky hard reset ahead of the 2024 State of Origin series. And look, we've all been predicting our teams, and I was meant to predict mine last week, but thank God I didn't, because I would have had to remake that video because round 10 really kicked New South Wales State of Origin in the absolute rugby league penis. We lost the most important player, bar none, in Nathan Cleary, the only guy who was seemingly really locked in 100% before the season even started. Even then, in the few games he has played so far, his form has been great, and in my opinion, not only was he easily the number one pick in the halfback, he was probably going to take over the captaincy from James Tedesco. But you can throw those plans out the window, and you can also throw out any Tommy Turbo plans out the window, because New South Wales is absolutely decimated. We've already lost Mitchell Moses for the first part of the year. There's rumours he could be coming back at Magic Round, but there's also a chance we won't get to see him until round 12, which would be the one game before Origin started. And now Nicho Hynes is under an injury cloud, so New South Wales are in some Barney rubble. So we're going to leave the lineup, the full team prediction. That video will come out next week after Magic Round, but before then, let's just have a look at this half situation and see if we can get a bit of an understanding, because oh my God, actually looking at it, we might be in a bit of Barney rubble, and I'm legit not joking when I say New South Wales are gonna need a 2020 Queensland moment. Now let's talk about Nicho, and obviously I think even with Cleary playing, Nicho is my obvious choice to come in for number 6. I can say that right now, that he was in my team alongside Nathan Cleary in the halves. But now with the departure of Nathan Cleary due to his hamstring having a 2024 protest, Hynes is 100% locked into this team now. Whether you play him at 6 or play him at 7, that's going to depend on who you partner him with, but we cannot leave out arguably the best player on form in the competition right now. I mean, of course, they won last week, but Nicho Hynes has literally been the best player, the key playmaker on the best team in the entire comp so far, and he's been doing consistently for 3 years now. I guess the only pushback people will say who are not on the Nicho Hynes hype train for a New South Wales Sky Blue jersey is what he did last year when Freddie Fittler absolutely fed him to the Wolves, the Wolf being Cameron Munster in the State of Origin arena, playing out of position, and well, good luck, son. But I think a lot of players who have been a staple of this New South Wales Origin team for some years, who probably still have their spots guaranteed, have played a lot worse than Nicho Hynes did in that 10-minute period. So for me, out of all the players in the potential halves pairing for New South Wales, especially the 5 we're going to talk about in this video, he is 100% locked into my side. I think he does a job as a 6 or as a 7. Now, obviously, we'll talk about Mitchell Moses up next, but he would be my 7 Nicho Hynes. I have to see how Mitchell Moses comes back, because he has been a long time out, and even then, I know he only had 3 games, but Mitchell Moses still wasn't the best, and let's be fair dinkum here, he hasn't won a live Origin series game just quite yet. So I don't think Mitchell Moses is 100% locked in as everyone is saying, but I do think Nicho Hynes is an absolute must considering who's out in the New South Wales halves right now. So I think Nicho is 1000% locked in there. He's the best player on the best team. He won a Dally M 2 years ago, and this is only his 3rd season as a starting 7, and look how he's gone. He's 100% locked in to that New South Wales team. All right, Mitchy boy, let's talk about injury-riddled Mitchell Moses, whose 2024 has not been great because, well, his foot decided to go a little bit brokey after their round 3 win over the mighty Manly Sea Eagles. It's very New South Wales, but I think, unfortunately, the reality for Moses is with that game 3 win last year is that it was a dead rubber, and based on what Nathan Cleary did, he was always going to be the stand-up number 7. Now, if Mitchell Moses had a great year, I could see an argument as to why a lot of people would have him at number 6. It's just he's so underdone, and Queensland don't do this. Even last year with Kafusi and Gagai, they swapped it around 2 Origin legends and put the young guys who are in such good form in the Origin arena, and look how well they did as the underdogs. Not this year, Queensland, but it just goes to show that even Queensland know where to draw a line. And Mitchell Moses, by the time he comes back, if he comes back this week in Magic Round, he would have been out for 8 weeks. If he doesn't come back to round 12, that's 9 weeks, and then he has has, 80 minutes to prove if he's ready for Origin Game 1. 7. I love Mitchy Moses. I think he'd be awesome for New South Wales, especially when it comes to chucking up those cheeky to Cleary. So I guess if you wanted to chuck Hines at 6 and Moses at 7, it wouldn't be too dissimilar. But unless he comes out and has like 2 2021 turbo-like games, I just can't see it happening. I can't see Moses getting picked for Game 1. Not ruling him out for Game 2 and Game 3. And who knows, maybe he might be the only option if this calf injury is worse to Nico than what we all are thinking. So I'd go Nico at 7 over Mitchy Moses, although if Moses got picked, I'd 100% understand why. Now, I know a lot of New South Wales people wanted Jerome Luai metaphorically dead after last series, but if we're being honest, out of him and Nathan Cleary, he was easily the best player when it came to our halves over the last, well, you could even argue 2 series. I thought in 2022, he was probably one of New South Wales' best players, and while at Game 2 last year, he definitely did struggle. In Game 1, he was the only one creating opportunities out of a spine that has the likes of Cleary, Tedesco, and Api Coruscant in it. He was the shining light. He was the one who gave us a chance in Game 1, and his defense has been rock solid, and it always is an underrated part of Jerome Luai's game. Yes, he can give away a penalty for rubbing dirt or rubbing his elbow in someone's face, but you need that in Origin. You need a grub back to 2014 with Joshy Reynolds, and I think Jerome Luai is overhated because of the way he carries himself, and you can have that criticism of him if you want. But if you're looking at him purely from a footballing standpoint, while he has been a bit quiet this year, he's definitely picked it up in the last couple of weeks. And most importantly, he's doing a role and he's winning. I think if Nico Hines is the 7, he could be a perfect foil for the way Nico Hines plays. I think Luai can be capable of popping up on both sides of the field, playing a first receiver, or even playing up the back on the left-hand side. He's been doing such a good job for Penrith in recent years. And like I said, he's winning games without Nathan Cleary. Now, I won't lie, having a Luai-Moses halves combination is concerning after how woeful we were in Game 2 last year up there at Suncorp, but I wouldn't hate them having another crack because, well, it is Game 2 and it is at Suncorp. Everyone says that Nathan Cleary deserves his chance to become an Origin great, and that's 100% true, but I don't get why the same people won't give the same argument to Jerome Luai. So I think Luai is definitely a chance of being in there. Right now, if I'm being perfectly honest, he'd be my number 6. I just think until we see Mitchell Moses perform, that we just can't pick him. If Hines is going to be my 7 and the main conductor on the team, having someone with the confidence, not just on the footy field, but in the camp, a proven winner, that's going to help out Nico Hines so much. Luai's a great defender as well. I think he's the obvious choice to be a number 6. All right, but now we got 2 Smokies left, and to be honest, I think both of these guys are probably just looking at the number 6 jersey instead of the number 7. Now, Matty Burton, start of the year, and people were saying he wasn't even good enough to be 5'8" for the Bulldogs, and now he's been talking about for 5'8" for New South Wales. Now, straight off the bat, I wouldn't be picking Matty Burton. I could see him being a 14. I can see him being in the mix for a centres. I still think he's got a lot to prove, and I can definitely see in the future when the Bulldogs start playing top 4 consistent footy year on year, he could easily be the guy to partner the Cleary long term. But I just don't think his form warranted at the moment. Now, obviously, he's a big body. He's sort of like the new Jack White. If one is going to continue not participating in rep 40 like the State of Origin arena, I could see Burton being his sort of replacement. And he has been playing good, Burton. I just don't think it's good enough to warrant Origin selection. I think if Madge is looking for a dog to do a job, that there's better options out there. But if he just wants a hard-running 5'8" to complement Moses or Nico, then I can see why he would pick Matt Burton. But I just think all the other players on this list that I'm talking about would be better. However, I do think Matt Burton is probably likely to get picked in the side somewhere outside of 5'8". He just wouldn't be my number 1-6 option, even with all the injuries New South Wales have had. But there is one more guy, and you called me crazy in the preseason, didn't ya? Didn't ya? Oh yes, oh yes, oh yes. Now, straight up, as a Manly fan, I do not want to say this. I think Brooksy's been so good for us this year. While everyone's talking about DCE and Turbo, I think Brooks has been so underrated, and our left side has actually been very, very strong defensively, and Brooks has a large part to play in that. But if we're looking at the list right now, Luai, Burton, and obviously with all the injuries to Mitchell Moses, outside of Nico Hines, you'd probably say that Luke Brooks is the form player on that entire list. Obviously, the last 2 weeks hasn't been kind to Manly Manly, so that's going to dampen a lot of people's opinions on Luke Brooks. But a couple of weeks ago, Manly were solidified in the top 4. They were 5-2-1, and everyone was talking about how good Brooks is, especially his start of the season. He was absolutely on fire, and I actually think that he would complement both Nicho Hynes and Mitchell Moses perfectly. He plays with a dominant 7 in club footy right now, one that plays both sides on the field, and Moses and Hynes tend to do that. I think he would actually be the best suited number 6 for either of those guys if you pick one of them at halfback. So to me, Luke Brooks has the perfect running game. He's got that relationship with Madge, but also he's learning to trust other people. And I mean by that, giving early ball away, because now he's got weapons when he's playing at Manly, unlike the Tigers where he has to do it himself. And he has adapted to that. Giving early ball to Cooler and letting him cook. And if we've got a Bradman Best or a Stephen Crichton outside of him, he'll do just that. Luai's obviously really good at that as well, but Matty Burton, unfortunately, still struggling to do that. Obviously, Matty Burton is a run-first 5'8", but Luke Brooks is getting that balance a lot better, and that's understandable considering he has a lot better players outside of him. Selfishly, I don't want to see it because I want him to be the dominant playmaker throughout our origin period, especially without Turbo, but it would just tip off what would be just such a romantic storyline for Brooksy, because I genuinely think outside of Hynes on the list, he's probably the form player out of the lot. But for the verdict, my halves pairing as it stands right now is, unfortunately, I love you, Brooksy, but my halves pairing is Luai 6, Hynes 7. I understand that they probably don't suit each other the best, but then again, these guys are all going to have to learn to play with each other anyway. Hynes was already locked in my side with the injury to Cleary. I think his form warrants him being the number 1 guy. I think he'll be a long-term number 6. I think Hynes and Matty Burton will be the fight out for the next half a decade to see who partners Cleary long-term. And I just think Jerome Luai, he has been a part of New South Wales' biggest origin win. He's confident, he's always winning, and he's going to be such a help to Nicho, not just on the field, but in camp too. He's got that connection with all the Penrith players because there are going to be a few former and current Penrith players. You best believe it. So Luai's my 6, Hynes is my 7. No matter what, even if he goes and picks Drew Clutcherson, which would be a masterstroke, I'm still going to back the boys to the hill. But ladies and gentlemen, let me know what your halves pairing is for New South Wales in Game 1. Smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't yet already, and I'll see you in the next one.